Climbing up into literally one of the biggest things in the world. This fully jacked up run and jump is key to getting this thing right. So let's start her up. This is sick. It's literally like being on top of a plinth. Insane driving position. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today I wanted to sort of start by trying to get in this thing because it's hilarious. There's no step, but you sort of like can step on the guard railing bit just there to get in this thing. Probably one of the sickest Defenders I've ever seen in my entire life. Fully galvanised chassis, fully restored by the guys at AirTech. What a machine this is. But we're going to hit the road. We're going to see what this thing is like because I'm really intrigued. I've only actually ever shot one of these for the channel. It was a longer dual cab pickup version. So I'm interested to see what the sort of highest level of Defender is really like, because this thing is well up there. Now the commanding driving position of these Defenders is definitely a huge talking point. I want to say a massive thank you to the guys at Lucky Devils Competitions for letting me take this thing out today. This is one of their cars, and it's actually an ex-AirTech development car that I've had my eye on since I first saw it probably a couple of years ago in the back of their unit. I kept on asking, oh, what are you doing with that? What's going on? And they've actually completely restored this thing back to what it should be, probably, you know, better than the factory standard if I'm quite honest. And now this thing is like the tightest, nicest Defender you can get yourself into. Now this one, I will put a complete rundown of what has happened, modifications and all that in the description, or you can go to Lucky Devils Car Competitions website to actually have a look at the spec list of this thing. So first things first, what's it like to drive? Now, huge fan of old school truck sort of things. I've owned an American truck from the 70s, and it does have the same sort of remnants of that truck, but in a slightly newer way. It is incredibly agricultural, I'm going to go with in this thing. It is such an experience to drive one of these Defenders. Again, if you're watching this and you've ever driven one, you'll know full well what it's like. It is not a workout because this one is very tight. It is very, very nice to drive. Listen to it! It has a 300 series engine, and that's obviously created more power in this thing as we come up to a set of traffic lights. It is actually hilariously loud and oh, what a weird sensation, smashing gears and accelerating in something so farmy. I'm gonna say it's so farmy in here. It actually gives one hell of an experience because you don't get a lot of cars like this. I've driven a fair few Jeeps and stuff as well. The gearbox is so tight. I don't remember the last one being this tight to actually change gear with, but like it is just like not necessarily an attack of the senses or anything, because it is actually so comfortable with these bucket seats, this massive armrest. You get the traditional Defender problems like not being able to put your arm anywhere here because the window is like literally right there. And unfortunately it is way too cold today for me to be putting that window down. But like as you drive this, you tower over everything. I've just literally driven past a Range Rover, like a new shape one, and my eyes were level with the roofline on it. That's how big this thing is. Videos and pictures will not do this justice whatsoever. The lift kit, the big tyres, of course this will make a fantastic off-roader, but to just pool around town in, it's actually quite an occasion in a weird way. I'm just like well impressed with how tight it feels, especially it feels really, really tight. The gearbox is so notchy. I think that's notchy in a way that it is, again, agricultural, like a bit of farm equipment. Hilarious. And it's so, like, there's so much motion in it. That's not in the body whatsoever. That is in the suspension. But it, like, sort of adds weirdly to how this thing drives. Inside, as we do stop behind a Sainsbury's van that's in the middle of the road, beautiful place to be. Again, these are very low spec, I'm gonna say, from the factory. You know, this is an older version of the Defender, so it wouldn't have come with all the niceness like this one has. So this one has lovely new flooring. It has these fantastic bucket seats. It literally feels like I'm not in a truck. It feels like I'm in a race car as well. Big armrest. We love armrests on the channel. I just think if you've never ever driven a Defender, you need to. This is 100% probably the best one that you can get, buy, modify. You know, I think this is the most desirable version of the Defender you could ever build. So that makes me feel like I'm really driving something special. This has had years of development and, you know, just being made right. And I've been in many of these, from like literally cheapest of cheap all the way up to this one, and I can see why they command, you know, so much more money for a well sorted one. The one I drove previously was sort of middle ground. It had been done, but it needed work. This one needs absolutely no work, and you can tell from the steering and how well it actually steers for a Defender, how comfortable and refined the whole interior, chassis, suspension, everything is on this thing. And you know, obviously today this isn't my car, I can't take it off-road. I know you guys would absolutely love to see that, and I'd love to do it at some point. Even just road driving this around town is sort of like a really, really good experience. You guys have just got to love the second gear though, second gear. What a hilarious thing! I can't believe how it's not fast, right? But it gives the excitement and experience of going a damn sight faster than you actually are. I love that you can weirdly throw it around as well. It sounds mental. This camera won't pick it up, it sounds. So good.